Well, morning, everybody. Hope you're all good. Here we go again. Sunday, the 28th of January, 2024. We're going to take a look at the weather for the next weekend. Well, the weather is never boring. We've got an interesting week coming up. We've got some date records to chase in terms of temperatures. We've got some snowfall, and we've also got another wind event. We're also going to take a look at the longer term trends as well, because there are signs, just tentative signs of things turning quite a bit colder for some next week. So let's move it all along. So this is the jet stream at the moment. It is mild across the UK. As I've mentioned, date records are on offer, and it's not just here in the UK that's mild. If we look at North America, much of Canada, much of northern Scandinavia now, all well above average. But yes, this mild pattern, if you do notice, we've got quite an active jet stream and there is cold air around, and we will be tracking some interesting weather events as a result of it. So, first up today is the exceptionally mild air that we're bringing up across the country. As I say, there is a date record on offer. We'll see if we can chase that. Tomorrow, we bring in a cold front overnight that then threatens a bit of a snow event for some northern parts of the UK, particularly over the Pennines. And then, after a bit of a lull on Tuesday, we're looking to a potentially very, very stormy, windy spell of weather on Wednesday, mainly across Scotland and some northern parts of England. And then towards the end of the week, we start to bring up some milder air again, a bit of a lull in the proceedings before things start to change. So let's get back to the here and the now. We'll take a look at today's situation. As I've mentioned, there is a cold front out in the Atlantic, very slowly pushing eastwards across the UK, but just notice a long fetch of very mild southwesterly winds blowing up across the UK. Now, we've mentioned this date record. It's the 28th of January today. And if we go to the historic charts, courtesy of Toro.org.uk, we'll see that the warmest ever temperature recorded in the UK on the 28th of January is 15.4, and that was at Burkhill in Herefordshire way back in 1887. But it's been matched closely recently by 15.1 in Cambridgeshire in 2018. So 15.4, that is the date record we've got to beat today, and we're off to a good start. Some places already, Belmullet I noticed at 13.5, Eglinton in Londonderry, Northern Ireland 13. So yeah, mild air is in the mix. So there is a potential to get this date record. We'll take a look at the projected maximum temperatures today, courtesy of the GFS. It's not mild everywhere. It's fairly it's just above average for many parts of the UK, but it's to the north of Scotland. They're the places we're looking at today. Bit of a phone effect going on, but as you'll notice, 14 degrees is being forecast by the GFS, so that's perilously close to that record. Right, so that's the mild today. Tomorrow we're looking at a slight potential snow event, right? So nothing major, but we'll just track this through. So as we know, there is a cold front that's out in the Atlantic at the moment. That's pushing in. All the very mild air is ahead of it, but rain will be pushing in across Ireland this afternoon and this evening. And then as that rain band pushes down into the north of England, northwest Wales, it kind of stalls. And then what happens is the cold air comes in behind the front. But as this air sort of stagnates in situ, just notice how this is tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock in the morning. The rain band, it halts across northern England, but yeah, to the north of this rain band, we start to bring in some purples, and that is snow, and that is likely to give a bit of a covering tomorrow, especially across the Pennines and maybe the parts of the sort of the higher ground towards the Lake District. So yeah, a few centimetres are on offer. If we just take a look at the GS projections for tomorrow, you see that over the higher ground there are a few centimetres of snow being progged on what will be a very, very wet day. In fact, as this front stagnates and stalls across the UK, you'll see that some places are going to be up 40 millimetres of rain. So quite a rain event. So there could be a warning issued by the Met Office if it's not already been done so. But note, to the southeast and to the north of the front, it is a mainly dry picture. Right, temperatures are interesting tomorrow. So a big contrast. You've still got the very mild air down in the south, perhaps 12s, 13s, 14s. This is at 1 o'clock. But over the north of England, where you've got this front over you, you're going to be struggling temperatures, typically sort of like 4 to 6 degrees colder over the high ground, and cooler across Scotland and across Ireland tomorrow. So we will notice the change. Right, so we'll just run through Monday now and see how that plans out. So, as we've seen, the front stagnates across the north of the UK, snow in tow for the higher ground. GFS is perhaps painting, or should I say ECM painting, perhaps a little bit more of a snowier picture on higher ground up towards maybe the southern uplands. So just something to need to keep an eye on. But Tuesday is a relatively fine day. That rains and hill sleet will push out the way very early in the day. And then on Tuesday, we bring in a ridge of high pressure. So essentially a dry day, a fine day, plenty of sunny skies, just the risk of a few showers on Tuesday afternoon across the west of the UK. Right, we'll take a look at your temperatures on Tuesday. So there is a contrast. Again, very mild down towards the southeast, but that very mild air will be pushing away later on in the day. And the rest of the country, well, look at you. Your temperatures are generally back to average or a little bit below on Tuesday. So, yeah, you're looking at typically sort of fives to sevens across Ireland, fours to sort of fives across Scotland, and yeah, Northern England once again rather chilly at sort of 3 to 5 degrees. Just that mild air in the southeast to push out the way. Right, the next action comes about on Wednesday. So this is a potential storm that will be blowing in, another cold front pushing in, quite a marked cold front. This one, this is at midday on Wednesday. So after a cold and a frosty start in many parts of the UK or many parts of northern Britain on Wednesday morning, with temperatures widely below zero, we do look to the west for quite an active cold front that will be coming down, pushing through across many northern parts of the UK. And this is associated with some very strong winds. So this is the UKV's take on the maximum gusts. This is at midday on Wednesday. Anything over that is red is generally over 60 miles an hour. Anything that's a bit purpley is over 70 miles an hour. And anything a little bit brighter than that is around about 80 miles an hour. So we're going to be expecting, gusts in excess of 80 miles an hour across the higher ground of Scotland, and rather more so across the Northern Isles, potentially sort of 80 to 90 up there. So we do need to just keep an eye out for the Wednesday situation across the far north, but also across the central belt. So that's your Edinburgh, Glasgow area. I'm noticing gusts here potentially sort of 60, maybe 65 miles an hour, which in the middle of the working week, 12 o'clock on a Wednesday, could be quite impactful. But that cold front will transfer very slowly east southeastwards throughout the course of the day, and then by the end of the day it's no more than a fragmenting band of light rain just sitting across northern England. That'll push down into the south in the early hours of Thursday. But just notice, as soon as that cold front pushes through, we return to cooler air across Scotland, with the risk of some showers across the west, wintry over the high ground. So just take a look at, these were your starting temperatures on Wednesday, these were your gusts, and these are your maximum temperatures on Wednesday. So yeah, a fairly blowy day. Temperatures cooler in the south by Wednesday, peaking at around about 7 or 8 degrees. The rest of the UK typically 5 to 7 degrees, but towards the west of Ireland, milder air is coming in to turn things a little bit more milder and a little bit more settled in the second half of the week. Right, so now what we'll do is we'll just run out Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, because these are fairly benign, nondescript days. So high pressure to the south, low pressure to the north, just in fronts, but there will be a bit of a change coming on, and we'll just mention that in a moment. So, yeah, so Thursday mainly dry and fine, just the risk of a little bit of drizzle in the far northwest, becoming more persistent later on in the day as a warm front and some milder air fringes across the north of Scotland. But yeah, the whole of the UK mild or very mild on Friday, with temperatures probably once again in the low teens for some, but towards the west of Scotland, always rather a lot of rain and drizzle, as will be the case for parts of Ireland. By Saturday, just notice the breeze starting to turn a little bit more into the west, so perhaps not quite as mild, but still, yeah, temperatures probably sort of around 12 to 14 degrees, which is yet well above average for the time of year. By the time we get to Sunday, just notice that the jet stream would appear to start be moving south again, a more persistent rain band of rain coming in on Sunday. And if we just take a look at the jet stream for let's go to Sunday, just notice how things do start to change. So over the course of next week, jet stream does start to migrate a little bit further south. Bit of a change being modelled by some on the 6th. But yeah, just notice a bit more amplification in that jet. So we'll be bringing in some colder air at times next week. And there is the risk of a bit of a snow event, potentially from the 6th through to the 8th, more especially across the north of the UK, mainly Scotland. If we just take a look at this morning's charts, this is the 6th. So this is the new potential onset day for some very cold air to arrive in the north of Scotland. This was your take this morning, I believe, from the GFS. And if we just go to the ECM, right, no, that was the ECM's take for the 6th of February. And this is the GFS's take. If we just go back to the 6th on the GFS, bear with me a moment. Yeah, there you go. Once again, just a signal for some cold air just to start coming in to the north of Scotland around about that 6th day. And if we just take a look at the ensembles, I think there's a fair enough cluster for some -10 air to start coming into Scotland around about the 5th, the 6th. So something to keep an eye on. Take a look. This is at Aberdeen. Take a look at your snow spikes. There is a definite signal for things to turn quite a bit colder and potentially wintry across the far north. But I think for the south still, mild rules the roost. There is a little bit of a snow signal spike for London around the 6th. But yeah, the actual 850s, if we just transfer them on there is a bit of a signal for a cool down, but it's nowhere near as well modelled as it is for Scotland. So yeah, I think it's fair to say that the mild spell continues. Obviously, there's a few sort of flies in the ointment this week with that rain event, that high ground snow event tomorrow, that wind event on Wednesday. Obviously, a date record to chase today. I hope you've all found this forecast useful. As usual, please like, share, and subscribe. It would be really helpful. Have a lovely day, have a lovely week, and ciao for now.